I've seen quite a few best horror movies on Netflix posts around, and I figured no one really talks about the complete tripe that's on Netflix. I made a very long list of worst movies on Netflix, and I picked a couple at random to briefly talk about. Take this video as a warning: if you're going to Netflix and chill, best avoid these movies. Movie number 1, Ghost Team 1. We're starting this list off with a doozy. When I toyed around with the idea of this video, I asked around to see if anyone had any recommendations for worst horror movies on Netflix. Someone recommended me Ghost Team 1. And I don't know what I did to make this person hate me so much they wanted me to sit through this completely repugnant movie. The concept of the movie is this: there's these two guys who are into this one chick and want to get with her, and she's really into the paranormal. So they decide to start a documentary about a murder that happened in their house and the suspected ghost that haunts the home, who only shows activity in sexually charged situations. Fuck me sideways, this was a hard movie to sit through. Within the first 10 minutes of the movie they make two different shit jokes. That's the degree of humour we're talking about here. I assume that this was supposed to be a Paranormal Activity clone, but the only scares is for poor acting, and instead of tension and atmosphere they went with sex jokes. Moving on. Movie number 2, #horror. What happens when you mix teen drama, social media and a killer together? That's right, a pretty humdrum movie. This one's focused around a group of overprivileged social media obsessed 12-year-olds who are having a sleepover. #horrors made me realise I'm completely out of touch with the youth of today. As a bit of cyberbullying goes overboard, a killer stalks these girls throughout the night. They post photos of them onto a social media site which is a mix of Bejeweled, Facebook and Instagram. And here's my biggest problem with the movie and every other social media based movie. They can't afford the licensing to use actual real life social media sites, so they have to make up their own, and it becomes really distracting and takes you out of the mood whenever they need to go on Smashbook or Spoogle. Kudos for this movie for actually using appropriately aged actresses in the movie. Having teenagers played by teenagers is actually quite refreshing in a world where 20-somethings play teenagers. Holy shit, these kids are messed up. It honestly made me feel uncomfortable watching these kids and their mental breakdowns. #horror is a 90-minute long movie which has no business being 90 minutes long. The first 61 minutes of this movie is nothing but teen angst, and the last 30 minutes is actually pretty decent. The movie itself is shot beautifully and the acting is pretty decent, but the worst thing a movie can do is bore you. I ended up checking Facebook throughout this movie which is about people who are obsessed with Facebook, so maybe that's some sort of irony. Movie number 3, Area 51. The second found footage movie on this list. This one isn't really scraping the bottom of the barrel as much so it's scraping the dirt that's underneath the cement that the barrel sits on. Basically it's the adventures of the 3 most stupidest people on the planet breaking into Area 51. Just utterly boring from start to finish with some really bad CGI effects and very poor editing. Once our dynamic trio actually gets into the base, the movie picks up a fair bit. It's just getting there is a massive challenge. Much like #horror, the last 20 to 30 minutes of the movie is pretty decent, but I'm going to give you the quick rundown if you want to skip the last 30 minutes, which I recommend you do. After seeing some lights out party, Reed becomes obsessed with aliens, and within 3 months they've created a foolproof plan to break into Area 51. Who could have known you could bypass government security so easily with just tape and a jammer you bought from Amazon? Well, it turns out breaking into a top secret government base isn't a smart idea, so shit hits the fan. That's all I'm going to tell you, but I'm pretty sure you could re-edit the last bits of this film to be a fantastic comedy sequence. Movie number 4, Chernobyl Diaries. This is the second time I've watched Chernobyl Diaries, and unlike a fine wine, this movie didn't get better with age. This movie isn't a wine, it's a slightly out of date malt vinegar which someone's mixed with juice and told you was wine. This is actually one of the more better movies on this list. A group of Americans, because it's always Americans, are on a tour of Europe. During their stay in Kiev, they decide to do a 1-day extreme holiday tour of Chernobyl. After their tour guide sneaks them into the city, things start to go wrong and they become stranded in the seemingly not so abandoned town. This is a typical run-of-the-mill modern day horror. If you're into jump scares which ruin the tension, then this is the movie for you. The story in town of Chernobyl is inherently a creepy one, and it's the perfect setting for a good horror movie, which is why this movie is on this list. It could have done so much more, but instead it's just really bland. And finally, movie number 5, Ouija. If there was an IKEA flat pack of generic horror movie, this would be it. If there's one movie on this list you really should go out of your way and avoid, it's this one. It's a truly uninspired piece of crap, and that just runs through horror movie cliches again and again with not even the sense of irony. This movie doesn't do anything original, and if you've seen any horror movie in the past 10 years, you've seen a Ouija. This movie was just a waste of electricity. I'm not even going to go into detail on why this movie's bad. I'm pretty sure you can just take all the negatives I've said throughout this video and Frankenstein yourself together a Ouija's movie script. An attractive 20-something-year-old dies in mysterious circumstances which is being ruled a suicide, and a group of friends use the classic Hasbro board game to discover the truth behind what happened. They discover the house is haunted by an evil spirit. Like I said, this movie couldn't be any more generic even if it tried. Somehow this movie got a sequel too. That's it for my worst horror movies on Netflix video. If you want me to make another video or have any recommendations for me, please leave me a tweet or leave a comment and subscribe.